Think of the happiest day of your life. Got it? Good. You just made it slightly less real. Because the memories you love the most are the ones you've changed the most. And by the end of this video, you'll know exactly how and why your own brain is doing it to you every single night. In the year 2000, a young neuroscientist injected a drug into the brains of rats that had learned to fear a specific sound. The drug didn't touch new memories. It didn't touch old ones. It only destroyed the memory the rats happened to be thinking about in that exact moment. One injection, one thought, gone. The finding overturned a century of assumptions about how memory works. The phenomenon has a name: memory reconsolidation. For 100 years, science treated memory like a filing cabinet. You learn, you file, you retrieve, you refile. The file stays the file. That model is wrong. The experiment that broke it looked almost boring: a plastic box, a speaker, a rat. But it rewrote neuroscience forever. And you're about to live inside it. You are a rat in a small clear box in a Manhattan lab. You hear a tone, the floor shocks you. You hear the tone again, the floor shocks you again. Within an hour, you have learned. The tone means pain. Your body freezes at the sound of it. 24 hours pass. The neuroscientist plays the tone again. No shock this time, you freeze anyway. The memory is intact, but in the moment you're freezing, in the exact window while you're actively remembering, he injects a protein blocker into your amygdala, the small almond-shaped structure that stores fear. The next day, he plays the tone. You do nothing. The memory is gone. Not suppressed, not blocked. Erased. Meanwhile, the rats who were never made to recall the memory during the injection, the ones just sitting quietly in their cages, remember perfectly. Their fear is untouched. The conclusion was staggering. Retrieval isn't reading a file. Retrieval is opening the file, and until you close it again, anything can happen to it. Hundreds of follow-up studies have now confirmed the same effect in humans. Every time you pull a memory out of storage, it becomes physically unstable, malleable, rewritable. For roughly 6 hours after you recall it, that memory exists in a soft form. Vulnerable, editable, waiting to be rebuilt. And it gets rebuilt with whatever you're feeling right now, which brings us back to that promise from the beginning. The memories you love the most are the ones you've changed the most. Here is why. Your grandmother. Try to picture her. The kitchen she stood in. The smell of whatever she cooked. The exact sound of her laugh. That image in your head is not her. That image is the last time you remembered her, colored by your mood that day, reshaped by whatever song was playing and whatever you had eaten, and whatever you were anxious about. And the time before that. And the time before that. What you're holding is a photocopy of a photocopy of a photocopy, each generation slightly warped by the machine that made it. The memories you cherish are the ones you've handled the most. Handling wears them down. The more emotionally significant a memory, the more you return to it. The more you return to it, the more it gets rewritten. Your wedding day. Your father's funeral. The night your first child was born. These are not preserved. These are the most altered scenes in your entire mind. And now the part nobody talks about. Some of the sharpest memories you have, the ones that feel almost photographic, were probably never true to begin with. Think about where you were on the morning of September 11th. The image is probably vivid, confident, almost cinematic. Studies tracking thousands of Americans over 10 years found those memories were, on average, wildly inaccurate. People confidently described watching the second plane hit live on television when they had actually heard about it hours later on the radio. They were certain. They were wrong. And the more they had told the story to others, the more wrong it had become. Every retelling was a rewrite. Every rewrite was an edit. Which brings you to a strange place. The stories you tell about yourself, the ones that define who you are, the ones you've told at parties and to therapists and in the dark to a partner, those are the least reliable memories in your possession. You have reshaped them so many times they are essentially fiction now. Coherent, moving, meaningful fiction. But fiction. You are not remembering your life. You are remembering the last time you told the story of your life. There's a stranger corner of this science, and it's already in hospitals. Trauma patients are being given a common blood pressure drug called propranolol. The patient is asked to recall the worst moment of their life in vivid detail. Just as the memory opens, the drug hits. The emotional intensity, which had lived inside that memory for decades, is not rebuilt. What returns is the story without the sting. The patient still remembers. They just no longer flinch. This is not science fiction. This is Tuesday afternoon at a clinic. We have already begun editing human beings in real time, one memory at a time, using a pill developed for high blood pressure. Which raises a question the field is still uncomfortable with. If a memory can be softened by a drug, what has your own brain been doing every night for the last 30 years without asking you? And here's where it turns, because this looks like horror and it isn't. Consider what a perfect memory would actually be. Not the warm haze of your grandmother's kitchen, but the exact clinical footage of her final months. Not the softened outline of a heartbreak, but the raw, unedited transcript. Not the story of your childhood, but the footage. You wouldn't survive it. The reason your brain lets memories soften every time you touch them is that unedited memory is unlivable. Reconsolidation isn't a bug. It's the mechanism that lets a human being carry decades of loss and still get out of bed. Every time you remember your grandmother, you reshape her a little gentler, a little more golden, a little more the person you needed her to be. That isn't dishonest. That is mercy applied by your own biology night after night for as long as you keep loving her. The memories you've damaged the most are the ones you've loved the most. That is not a tragedy. That is what love does inside a brain. So the next time you catch yourself replaying a scene, a face, a conversation, a room you will never enter again, understand what is happening. You are not visiting the past. You are rewriting it. Softly, slightly, in your own hand. Choose kind edits.